identify the type of oil, whether it's strengthening, whether it's clarifying? Is there a list available for this? They didn't specify what they were trying to treat or anything.
Yeah, you'll have to be more specific.
Hello, can you hear me? It's Heather.
Great.
Hey.
Thanks, Heather. Glad you're here today.
How are you?
Doing excellent. How are you?
Good, doing very good.
To clarify that, I wasn't trying to treat anything specifically, but when you speak, I hear you say a lot of, use something that's strengthening or clarifying, toning, all these little terms.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And I don't have the knowledge to determine, okay, if I want something that's strengthening, I would use either A, B, or C. Is there any way to kind of put it into something?
So actually, I'm in the process of preparing that for you guys. I have a significant amount of notes put together for that. And actually, I broke it down to calming agitation in the system, going down and doing purification, fortifying, regenerating, raising the vibration, also allostasis, which is helping that particular system to change, and then also to stimulate that system. Like, so you're starting with agitation, which would be basically calming down that system, and then you kind of work through that whole spectrum, ending with like how to stimulate more appropriate function. And so I have probably about 20 different classifications, maybe 22 different classifications, and I need to write down like the definition of what each of those are, but that's something that is going to be coming out to you guys with the notes that will come out like in the middle of June. Like I was hoping to have them done a little bit sooner, but with all the travel and everything, I can't keep up with the writing sometimes. But a good amount of it's already actually done.
Oh, excellent to hear. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything in particular you're wanting to address, or you're just like wanting some general notes?
It was just more general because it's every time you say it, I go, well, I couldn't identify that if I wanted.
Right. So like that's also because like regeneration is a perfect example. Like regeneration has several different meanings depending on what you're talking about. Like if you're talking about regenerating a joint, that is increasing blood flow. But if you're talking about like regeneration that has to do with like the nervous system, it's actually about re-educating the nerve and how it's firing. And then if you start to look at like some of the mechanisms for like lower emotions or the instinctive mind, it's making the lower emotions or the instinctive mind go back to like a proper way of functioning rather than like a way of functioning that has been because of like a trauma or agitation or whatever. And so I didn't want to just like list all those things. I wanted to go through and write out what each component like meant, and then that way like present it to you guys and then have you be able to go through and troubleshoot. And so we have a class coming on Father's Day weekend. And, I did horrible with the description, but basically what the description is, we're just going to do it right now. So.
Oh, excellent. That was going to be my next question.
Yeah. So the description is basically your question is the weekend. Like we're going to go through and I'm going to give you guys a bunch of notes of like how to troubleshoot like different conditions, different like systems, and then like each system is going to have like how to treat agitation, how to fortify it, how to re-educate it, how to raise the vibration of it, whatever it is. So I'm basically going to give you guys a booklet that's just of like all the different systems and then like how to go through and treat it with an explanation of what each component is. And then we're going to talk about it through the weekend. So that weekend, it's a free weekend, by the way. that weekend is not going to be a lot of like us sitting and doing protocols and everything. It's going to be a lot of just lecture and Q&A with you guys. Like it's basically going to be kind of like what we do tonight, but for a weekend, but like kind of guided of like, we're going to talk about respiratory system, we're going to talk about digestive function. Like even in the nervous system, we're going to break down different parts of the nervous system. And then even there, like we might focus on like the basal ganglia and why to treat the basal ganglia and you know, what oils are going to work for the basal ganglia. Like, I don't know why basal ganglia just jumped in my head, but basal ganglia has a lot of things. You know, you have like restless leg syndrome, you know, issues like that, but also basal ganglia is tied to repetitive thinking, like you know, when you have thoughts that run through your head over and over again in like a loop, and in the extreme kind of agitation in that particular piece of anatomy is it will produce OCD. And so OCD is very hard to treat. And, you know, the issue is that a lot of times we look at it as a psychological issue when it's probably more neurological than psychological. I mean, there's some psychological components to it, but it's a good piece of it is neurological. And so it has a lot to do with like conditioning on the nervous system and the body and even some of the lower emotions. And then the basal ganglia just keeps drifting farther and farther away from where it should be for normal functioning. And so how do we calm it down, improve function, but get it back to where it should be functioning? And so we're going to go through and we're going to talk about a whole bunch of things like that. And so you know, between that class and the class with the Sandalphon healing technique, I'm really trying to gear it so that you guys can treat, you know, things without even sometimes having to really be able to diagnose or evaluate. You can kind of just like listen to a few symptoms and go, I'm just going to go through this set of protocols and go through and treat. So you can do like a blanket approach. You can just start identifying systems and starting to treat. The Sandalphon technique is going to be about doing it, but from an energetic point of view. And so those 2 weekends together, anybody who wants to be like a aromatherapist and do it like either by itself or integrated into another healing modality, I'm trying to make it like a turnkey situation for you guys. I mean, the classes with all the protocols and all the patterns, I mean, I love them. I think, you know, we do a lot of different things in the classes, but this is just going to be bread and butter, everyday things. Like, how do we go through and treat these things? And so if I get it done before then, we'll get it out to you guys. But the goal was like about the middle of June. You know, well, I got to have it done for that weekend, so it's going to be the middle of June.